the rich. Maybe we can tax the rich so that people who have helipads on their house or near their house can help chip in for black school districts that are perpetually underfunded. How about we do that? But apparently, if you believe in that, you are radical, far left, danger to this country. Both parties will disassociate with you.
Meanwhile,
see that woman walking off of that private jet? Look closely. You know who that is? That is New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a.k.a. AOC. But that's not all. Look, there's more people coming off of that jet. There's some guy carrying her bags. There's some other guy carrying, I guess, more of her bags. There's some woman carrying more. There are a lot of bags on this plane. But look who comes out next. Who see that guy? That's Bernie Sanders. That's Bernie Sanders from Vermont, the socialist from Vermont, who hates millionaires and billionaires. AOC and Bernie Sanders, who are arguably two of the most anti-capitalist socialists in this country, not to mention the government, were flying on a private jet back from, get this, their Fight Oligarchy tour, where they rail against rich millionaires and billionaires.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez dropped nearly $50,000 on hotels and meals in Puerto Rico in the third quarter of this year, as well as renting a San Juan venue where she was caught on tape grooving at a Bad Bunny concert. According to a campaign finance report from the third quarter, which records campaign expenses for members of Congress between July 1st and September 30th, AOC's principal campaign committee forked over roughly $15,489 for lavish lodgings in Puerto Rico, even as the squad member on her social media accounts denounced gentrification that was taking place on the island. Such stays included the adults-only Hotel Palacio Provincial and the Hotel El Convento, a 19th century property touting its old-world charm and elegance, the Federal Election Commission filings show. At least $10,743 was also spent on meals and catering services on August 25th and September 29th, per the FEC filings for that period.
All right, family. So we got to talk about this bombshell report that just blows the lid off the whole fake socialist charade, because the hypocrisy is honestly insane. Because we got folks like AOC, aka Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, out here acting like they're champions of the poor, defenders of the working class, fighting for people struggling in Biden's economy. And yes, it's still Biden's economy. Don't let anybody gaslight you on that. While simultaneously living like they're staring in a rap video. These people love to get up on stage and scream, "Tax the rich." You guys heard her in the video, in the beginning of the video, right? With their whole chest. But the second you follow the money, the lifestyle don't match the message, bruh. These politicians try to convince you, and politicians as in these Democrats, try to convince you they are one of us, the everyday people, the 9-to-5ers, the broke students, the struggling families. But behind closed doors, they out here catching flights, not feelings. On your dime, on our taxpayer dime, literally. And you donate $5 thinking you're supporting a movement, and next thing you know, that 5 is buying champagne on the beach in Puerto Rico. So let's talk about it, because AOC, the queen of tax to billionaires, always pointing fingers at the ultra rich, just got exposed for dropping over 50,000. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. 50,000 in campaign donations on what can only be described as a luxury vacation. Yeah, that's not speculation. That's real. That's receipts. We're talking 5-star hotels, private catering, and yes, front row access at a Bad Bunny concert in a private suit. She dropped over 23,000 at that venue alone. Like, bruh, you gotta laugh because the irony is screaming here. Imagine you're struggling to pay rent. You decide to chip in a few bucks to AOC's campaign because you believe in the fight against inequality, and she's out here vibing to Bad Bunny like she just won the lottery. That's not just bad optics, that's straight up betrayal. But don't take my word for it. Check out this clip.
New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez under scrutiny after FEC filings show her campaign spending nearly $50,000 in Puerto Rico on hotels, meals, and a venue rental at the arena where she was seen dancing it up during a Bad Bunny concert. Correspondent Sarah Williamson has the very latest for us. Sarah?
Hey, Lydia, look, you're allowed to have fun,
That's
but
right.
on campaign money, I'm not so sure about. It's not exactly the best look because these newly filed federal records show that AOC's campaign spent nearly $50,000 in Puerto Rico over just a few months, fueling criticism, of course, of a lawmaker who has built her entire brand railing against wealth, privilege, elites, and excess. Now, Federal Election Commission filings show that for the third quarter, that AOC's campaign reported nearly 50 grand in spending in Puerto Rico just between the months of June and September. The filings list high-end hotels, meals and catering, and event-related expenses paid for, all with campaign funds. The records also show about $23,000 spent on a venue rental in Puerto Rico, the same venue, in fact, that AOC was seen in a private suite at the Bad Bunny concert in August, a moment that went rather viral online. Now, the appearance coming the same month, she delivered a speech condemning gentrification in Puerto Rico and economic inequality, further intensifying criticism that her personal choices undercut her political message. Now, under federal campaign finance law, it's important that we do say this spending is actually allowed. Campaigns may legally use donor money for travel, adding lodges, meals, event spaces, as long as it's tied to political activity. There is no cap on hotel or venue costs, making this less about legality and more about credibility here. Now, we have reached out to AOC for comment, yet to hear back from her, but in a previously published statement, her campaign manager said that she regularly travels to Puerto Rico to support local causes and that the spending reflected legitimate campaign activity. But for critics, this just reinforces what they see as a familiar pattern of a progressive lawmaker condemning excess while she comfortably is enjoying the very privileges she tells others to reject. Lydia?
Exactly. Not only the very privileges that she tell others to reject, the very privileges that she loves to enjoy, but takes away that joy from individuals who she preach about having the privilege of affordability. You realize when it comes to these Democrats, man, and it's becoming a pattern that they will sit there and say you enjoy the luxury of affordability while they're enjoying the luxury of capitalism and saying the rich doesn't enjoy that privilege, but they enjoy the very privilege that the rich enjoys. That is conflicting. So, in simple terms, the rich does enjoy luxury vacations and luxuries. They should be helping the people while they are finessing and using everyday Joe Americans who are believing in their message and giving them this sense of belief that they are privileged enough and it's a human right that they should enjoy the privilege of affordability while they suck the monies from individuals who are trusting someone like AOC and Bernie Sanders to deliver on their message of affordability, but they are squeezing the everyday average Joe American who is just trying to make a way of their monies, of the little monies they have, believing that they're sowing a seed to the sense of belief that these public servants, public officials like a AOC is going to fight on their behalf to make sure they actually embrace and actually see and actually have the privilege of affordability. But the finesse comes in because they make you believe it, but there's no real solution while they actually enjoy the luxuries that they say the rich shouldn't enjoy. Look at Zoran Mudami, free buses. and he's a mayor, right, of a major city, right? New York. But the bucks stop there because the governor of New York, right, who actually cashes the checks that the federal government gives New York, funding wise, Kathy Hochul said, we cannot do free busing. See, you have to realize that when it comes to the capital, they can print money. But when it comes to the states, they got to find out how to make their monies. They got to find out avenues to create money for the state to run efficiently and effectively like a business. They can't print money like the capital and Congress and so forth, right? So Zoran Mudami, the same individual, free this, cap on rent, freezing rents, free bus fare. The same man who sat there and said, oh, by the way, the donations I told you to stop giving after he won the election to be mayor, going into 2026, oh, you can start donating again from my transition team. They don't even have no monies. But they suck the money out of the very people they say they are fighting on the behalf for, such as their constituents. Now, does that make any sense that you're supposed to be delivering on the people of affordability, but you're asking them to give their hard-earned monies, which may be the last of their dollars, to you when you're using their monies to enrich yourselves and never deliver on the message that you gave them falsely for them to believe, and they thinking they're sowing the seed of thinking you're really going to fight on their behalf, but you're not. It's no different when they tax the everyday average Joe American, right? It hasn't came in the form of a tax yet because they haven't got an office. So they're asking for donations. It's no different between a pastor saying, sow your seed and you will be saved. Give your last $1,000. And people really believe that belief that they will be saved by the higher power, playing with the God that the Christians believe, using God as a way to enrich themselves as a pastor when all they should be doing is delivering the message to help individuals grow spiritually, to be spiritually enriched, spiritually renewed within the transforming of their mind, to have a better mindset and not to be of this world, but to be aware of what's going on of the world, but not be of this world, as in thinking worldly, but always thinking to be a better person to make a world a better place. But how, as a pastor, if individual is tithing anything they can give to the church, because we all know when it comes to tithes, that helps pay bills, but it also helps programs that can be in forms of giving back. But who's to say that pastor isn't using that tithe money to enrich themselves? It's no different with a politician like AOC. You sow a seed in my campaign fund to believe that I will fight for you in a sense of enjoying the privilege of affordability, and we will tax the rich, which doesn't really happen because if anything, the rich gets taxed less. And if the rich can allocate their monies and move around and move out of country, because think about it, before Donald Trump came in office, the wealthy and all of the big corporations, they were going to Mexico. The auto manufacturing they were actually going to Mexico. They were leaving the country because they were getting taxed to death, which cost American jobs because the manufacturing companies like Chrysler, Stellantis, Hyundai was no longer here in America and their warehouses were leaving. So not only did it hurt American jobs, but it also shows if you have money, you have resources to move and get up and go where you want to go. But the average Joe American, they can't just get up and go. So now they out of a job, and the rich that they thought they gave you the belief that they thought you were going to tax to afford your lifestyle. Oh, the rich just got up and left and went out of the country and allocated their funds to where they can preserve their monies, because just like anybody else, you won't want nobody taking your hard-earned money. These entrepreneurs, these businesses, these companies, they work hard to build up these corporations. And if anything, If they make more money, it's an opportunity to create more jobs and to invest in the business to expand more, which is the benefit of tax cuts and not taxing the rich, because the more money the business makes tax wise, when it comes to filing their taxes at the end of the year as a corporation, they got to get rid of the money. That's why at the end of the year you usually see corporations buying new vehicles and investing back in the business and adding more jobs. But if you tax the rich is going to move out because they're going to preserve their monies. The only people losing out is the low income to middle class individuals getting taxed to death, and those are the main constituents that AOC is preaching to in regards of saying you deserve the privilege of affordability, but they haven't helped or really gave you no realistic way of affordability, but only made it worse for you because they banking on your ignorance and you to be a dummy, to the simple fact that you still donate to my campaign while I give you a false belief, but I have never really delivered for you to see real results. Mind blowing to me, right? And to see, as you guys just heard in this from Newsmax in this clip that I showed you, she goes to Puerto Rico, right? It's straight up portrayal, because if you peep what they said, she said it was all campaign related. Huh. Who is she campaigning to a concert in Puerto Rico? Last time I checked, Puerto Ricans on the island don't even vote in U.S. federal elections. AOC doesn't represent Puerto Rico. She represents parts of the Bronx and the Queens, right? New York. So how is blowing 50K over there helping her campaign here in America in regards of the constituents that she's representing in New York when it comes to the Bronx and the Queens? What's she campaigning for? The title of the most lit socialist? The most um the most lit as in the most infamed social media influencer, lavish lifestyle, enjoy the luxuries of campaign donation socialist? Bro, stop it. And this is the thing that pisses me off. They're broke themselves. These politicians are just like everyday average American individuals. They get rich by, especially these Democrats, it's a pattern where they get rich and use these campaign donations for their own self-enrichment and their own self-interest. And then once they get their foot in the door, then they get really wealthy. So you got AOC in my first clip, tax the rich. Well, guess what? She's rich. Because all she did was reinvest those campaign donations. Far more than enough. The many of monies that she received from previous campaign donations. You don't think when she first got her foot in the door from being a bartender, she didn't find a way to reinvest that money and get in with Nancy Pelosi and knowing how to the nooks and crannies of the stock market, and knowing how to invest it. And now she's just getting more monies. And she with Bernie Sanders, we're gonna fight the oligarchy tour. We're fighting the oligarchy. Trump is no kings rally. He's a dictator. While never really delivering on no results. Just all talk. And now she have received so much of campaign donations for so long, and she already have set herself up to be rich, which she says she's against. See, they don't live up to what they preach. Now she's just blowing the campaign donations with $5,000 on trips and saying that it's campaign related. And AOC had the nerve to not even speak on it. She let her campaign representative do the talking, as you guys heard. And this is the thing. When Trump holds an event funded out of his own billionaire pockets, the media is quick to cry, oh no, he's partying. Wow, the average American people and his supporters suffer. But when AOC who built her whole brand on being the anti-Trump, does the exact same thing with other people's money. The media out here dead silent. Mainstream media won't cover this. The double standards is real, family. They pick and choose who gets held accountable, and it's never the ones they like. The hypocrisy ain't even hidden no more. They just straight out doing it in your face. And they still banking on dummies because, trust me, it's still going to be a dummy in their eyes and their belief. Oh, they'll still donate to me. It's like a John Cena. You can't see me. I'm AOC. Yeah, I'm out here spending $50,000 on Puerto Rico. But look, tax the rich. Tax the rich. They should enjoy the luxuries. But I can, but you didn't see me do it. They playing in your face, man. They playing in your face. And it's not even about having a good time in Puerto Rico. It's not even about, yeah, 'cause I think AOC is Puerto Rican. That's not the point. The point is constituents and believed in you and donated to you as a public official, as a public servant. You take their money and do this. Use your own goddamn money. Right? So now, what gets wild to me is these so-called socialists, right? The Zoran Mudamis. You got content creators like David Pacman. You got Crystal Ball. You got Hassan Piker, who I'm about to show in this last clip, right? Hassan Piker is obviously a radical far left Democrat, pro-Democrat, socialist to the fullest extent content creator, right? From my understanding. And it's no different between what AOC is doing with these content creators, right? That back the Democratic Party. Because these so-called socialists, the ones always yelling about how billionaires are running society, owe everything to the very billionaires they ran about. AOC got famous on social media, right? Platforms, Twitter, well, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, Instagram, TikTok, all of them created by multi-billion-dollar corporations. If it wasn't for a billionaire building the digital stage, AOC would still be bartending in the Bronx, right? Bartending. That's not shade. It's facts. She literally used a capitalist invention, is my point, as an example, to go viral off of anti-capitalist slogans. Wasn't she on TikTok giving advice on how to avoid ICE for illegal immigrants and not putting Americans first, the most anti-American thing to do? That's like biting the hand that feeds you while you filming it on your iPhone when it comes to these socialists like AOC. So are you mad at Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, right? Very successful man. And it's not just her, right? Like I said, it's the whole crew. Hassan Piker, multimillionaire. Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, David Pacman. All millionaires. Why? Because ranting against capitalism as a talking point on capitalist platforms like YouTube, TikTok, they make monies off of these socialist agendas, progressive agendas that don't have no real solutions with anything, create self-inflicted wound for the American people. And they talk about it enough where these beliefs actually come normal or a normalcy for people to actually run with what they're saying and not do their own research to believe what they're saying makes sense, but it really doesn't. Because if you know what tax the rich mean, the rich has enough resources and monies to allocate their monies and move out and make sure they preserve most of their monies. See, when you got money, that just means more resources, right? And a smart businessman, they're going to realize the more monies they get, they're going to invest in the assets, the stock market, real estate, and so forth. And they're going to adjust accordingly, right? So, for example, California, worst place to have real estate. Taxes are crazy. The housing market is insane. Homeless running rampant on the street. You got someone like Zohran Mudami, who's supposed to be the mayor of New York, stepping in, believes that homelessness, the streets shouldn't be cleaned up. Homeless individuals should be able to sleep on the street. They shouldn't be able to, be able to be in shelters and get themselves together to be able to work themselves into having affordable housing. But first, you got to raise the quality of living. No, he believes in homeless people should sleep wherever and free buses. Well, don't you think buses for a hard average working American, for a homeless person, is going to make the bus as a sleeping shelter or a sleeping ground? If it's cold outside of New York, they're going to sleep on a bus. So they're going to be sleep encampments on the bus, which lowers the quality of living, lowers the quality of service for hardworking New Yorkers who are struggling and just trying to make it out and make a way every single day. Can't even attend the bus in peace because you have a homeless encampment on the bus. If you these progressive agendas just lower the quality of living while also taxing the working class American, and the rich just leave, right? But these socialists, like these Hassan Pikers, right? They still asking you for donations, but they got all the answers. Don't take my word for it. I want you guys to check out this clip. This is Hassan Piker, family.
Is the alternative? Is it Marxist? Is it essentially deeper and more profound government management of the economy? What are we talking about?
I think I don't have the perfect solution for this, and this is something that I readily admit, but I think moving in the direction of socialism would be a wonderful start.
Is he a millionaire genuinely? No, dude, I take care of my whole family. Does this chatter not realize he's talking to the son of the guy he's talking about? The fuck you need an article for? Well, bitch, I'm wealthy. The fuck are you talking about? So much so that I'm fortunate enough to take care of my entire family. Like, dude, yeah, what happened to this argument where it's like these people went from, dude, you're rich but a socialist, to like, now you're rich and your father is rich. He's not. He used to be. It's not something that I've kept a secret. My dad used to be rich for Turkey, right? Not in those lists or anything like that, but by the time I got to college, he was not.
So why he doesn't give his own monies to help the American people? They want to keep asking for donations, but if they're believing their own socialist agendas and affordability, why don't they give away their monies? They feel as though the rich who worked and basically worked hard, because the whole beauty of capitalism is you work hard enough, you'll be able to level and raise not only the quality of living, but able to go into the next bracket of raising your income. But really, socialism is, oh, you making too much. You need to give somebody a share of what you worked hard for. Why isn't Hassan Piker doing it? But he's sitting there belittling somebody in the chat while taking donations and claiming he's wealthy and taking care of his whole family. Which taking care of his whole family and being wealthy is a beautiful thing, but it's contradicting because you're a socialist. And then turn around and tell Times you don't have no real solution, but you have these dumb talking points that don't have no real solution because one, you probably never ran a business. And yes, you're a content creator. So of course, YouTube can be a form of a business. You can hire people and stuff like that. What I'm saying is you never really took place of a form of not only running a business, but also being a public official where you know how to run forms of governance or being the leader. Take care of your family is a wonderful thing, but the quality of a leader doesn't mean take from the rich who actually makes up the majority of the tax base and creates the most jobs as in a way of diminishing the quality of life because you want to make the rich give up their fair share, as they say, and tax them like they can't leave because they have enough resources to get up and leave when they want to, and really hurt the very people that you say that you want to fight for as your constituents for affordability, but then shit on them in the comments. He said he's wealthy. But these people, right, like I said, these people, they will sit there, right, and rant against capitalism on capitalism platforms that pays, like YouTube, like Twitch. Wild, right? It's like capitalism is so effective, even if even its enemies get rich off of it. And that's how good the system is. It rewards everybody, even the people who hate it. But let's really sit with that, because if these people were serious, like really serious about their socialist beliefs, wouldn't they be living modestly? Like seriously, wouldn't they be living modestly? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you got this far in the video, give this video a big thumbs up. I appreciate you for rocking with me this far. If you're new to the channel, come subscribe and join the family. We just having a conversation. We just kicking it. But like, wouldn't they be giving that money away? Like I said, why do you need $1 million home if you think millionaires are the problem? Why do you need to spend $50K on a trip if you believe in wealth equality, AOC? And don't say it's for the cause. What cause needs a private suit at a Bad Bunny concert? You see what I'm saying? Like this ain't about fighting for the poor. It's about looking like you are while living like a celebrity. Living like the rich. These people don't see their supporters as equals. They see them as ATM machines. Just keep feeding them sob stories, blame the billionaires, hit record, upload a video, ask for donations, and boom, that's the grift. That's the grift. It's no different from someone getting on social media and constantly begging for sympathy to tug on the heartstrings of individuals so they donate monies. It's just these individuals that are socialists act like they have the answers, but they really don't have the answers to nothing. They make you believe they have the answers. And honestly, it's a smooth hustle, because if nobody ever checks you, why stop, right? That's how they believe it. That's what they believe, right? If every time you blow donor money, people still flood your campaign with cash, then what's the incentive to act right? There's none. That's why AOC does it. She knows she can finesse it, and her base will still back her up. That's why she's comfortable spending your rent money on beachfront rooms. She ain't worried. She's untouchable. And she knows it. Why? Because her audience doesn't care about the hypocrisy. They only care about the vibe, the slogans, the claps, not the reality. It's like watching someone rob you and cheering for them for being bold. And again, let's circle back, right? Because the entire grift wouldn't even exist without billionaires. That's the punchline. These influencers and politicians are literally funded by the system they spend their lives criticizing. Billionaires created the platforms. Billionaires fund the tech. Billionaires made the ecosystem that allows them to live stream, collect donations, and build brands. So when you peel back all the layers of the onion, what you find is this modern day socialism. For many of these people, it's just like capitalism with a hoodie and a TikTok account. It's not a revolution. It's a business model, and a damn good one. Because you get to play victim, act righteous, talk smooth, talk political, sell merch, collect donations, and throw up peace signs from a luxury suit while the people funding it think they're part of a movement. It's brilliant, it's twisted, but it's brilliant. So the next time you hear tax the rich, ask yourself, are they including themselves in that? And it shows you their morals, right? They're two-faced. They acting like they standing for something, but they really will fall for anything if it comes at the cost of making sure there's benefits for themselves. They don't really stand for nothing. They only stand for the ideology that suits them best to benefit them for their own self-enrichment. That's not a public servant. That's a thief disguised in sheep's clothing, as if they're here to help you. See, not to get spiritual and all, but for my Christians, the devil do it too. The devil will act like he's there to help you. Honey, take my hand. I'm just like you. Pull you in. And you realize you made the wrong decision because they sitting there telling you they are just like you, when the reality is they're nothing like you. They're worse. And they're your enemy. But they're making it like they're for you, but they're against you. And definitely, when it comes to them versus you, they're going to pick themselves every time. even as a public official, as a public servant who got constituents that's having faith that they will operate and get the most for their constituents that voted them in and believed the movement, right? That they will be working on the behalf of going and working with Donald Trump for the behalf of your constituents, making policies that benefit the affordability rant they like to talk about and actually live what they say. But since they don't wear, you know, since they don't wear suits or own yachts, they think they're slick. But real recognize real. And we see the game for what it is. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you in the next one. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. Let the love supersede the hate. And as always, family, we just having a conversation. Love you guys. Catch you in the next one. Peace.